Thanks for watching our video. Before we move on to the fun stuff, go ahead and pause this video and take a look at our disclaimer.
All right. Yay! We've got all three of us. We've got me, Rachel Lynn. I am the communication and feeding expert, and we have
Go ahead and
Miss Amber. Oh, Miss Amber Michelle, who's the physical and gross motor development specialist. And then we have Miss Amanda Ray, who's our sensory, visual, fine motor, everything specialist. So hooray! And together we make up Team NewDay. So thanks everybody for joining us and watching us today. Let's see. So today, a couple things housekeeping. We have 2 days left on our coupon for 30% off our course for live deep dive discussions. You can find our course offerings on our website. Today we're finishing off the month of July with talking about toys for 18 months plus. And then in August, we are slated to talk about shoes and baby or child versus adult-led feeding. And then we're going to go on from there. So there's that. And you can follow us at or find us at www.newdaychildcoaching.com. We're also on Instagram and on YouTube and Facebook. All right.
we just added a couple of videos on YouTube this week. So if you haven't caught those, head over to our channel, give us a subscribe, and watch the new videos. I do all of our editing and I'm kind of proud of them, so I would appreciate it.
Yay! We're very proud of you too. It looks great. They look wonderful. Okay. Anybody have anything to mention before we get started into our live deep dive talking about toys?
I'm still trying to get on to manage this live, so give me one moment. If you want to, Rachel, if you want to go ahead and start talking about our objectives while I'm working on this, that's totally fine.
Sure thing. So one of the things that we were chatting about between our last live on the 15th and today was the fact that we wanted to make sure, because we mentioned objectives the first time, but we're not sure that we answered them all. So we thought it would be a really wise decision today to go through our objectives and actually give you the answers in real time as we're asking the question, and then we'll do a deep dive onto the toys that we really enjoy. So the first thing, the first objective that we wanted to make sure that you guys are understanding is the differentiation between different and similar toys. Why is this important? Well, one, it wastes money if you have multiple toys that are kind of working on the same thing. It also can take up more time and space that you might not have. So really what we want to make sure is that you understand the objective of the toy. And what does that mean exactly? What the toy is trying to help teach. So for you to understand what's the purpose of the toy. Is it a cause and effect toy? Is it something for sensory? Is it something for communication or gross motor or balance or grip? For imitation? Is it an open-ended toy or is it a closed-ended toy? Meaning there's only really one way to work with it, or is it something that your imagination skills can really help to help grow? Can either of you think of a toy or a couple toys that that they seem different, but they actually work on the same thing? I'm putting them on the spot, by the way. I didn't talk about this before.
I can. I have lots of these toys because I am a toy hoarder. I wish I could pull them out right now, but they're all like in my toy rotation boxes. So for example, like a shape sorter, there are all different types of shape sorters. Rachel, do you have yours there? I know we're going to talk about it during our evergreen section because we love shape sorters, right? So like,
whoa, this is a shape sorter.
Yeah, so what Rachel is showing here, this is a wooden shape sorter, and it's really simple. It comes with different colored blocks in different shapes, and this is kind of what you think of when you see a shape sorter. But they also make them in like plastic buckets where the lid comes off and there's 6 holes on the top. There's a Melissa and Doug, there's a couple of Melissa and Doug toys, like there's a farm set and there's also a safari truck that it comes with like a little animal pieces, and they're also shape sorters because there are holes cut into the safari truck of like the elephant goes here, the giraffe goes here. Now, that's a very accelerated version of a shape sorter because the shape is a lot more intricate. It's not just a circle or a square or a triangle. It's like, oh, it's an elephant and a giraffe. But that's a good example of 2 toys that do the exact same thing. So if you've got both of those types of toys, but you've got an older kiddo, you can probably donate or store or gift your more simple shape sorter and get it out of your toy rotation, because your kiddo is going to be able to move on to that higher level shape sorting toy too. I also have, like, I've seen all sorts of different types of stacking toys.
Oh, wait, real fast,
Oh yeah.
before you jump off of shape sorters. So when I was a child, the shape sorter that was really popular that I actually remember playing with was a Tupperware version
I don't
that
know
kept
how that one in
it
reach.
kept it closed. And the reason I wanted to mention that is because it was really hard for my little body to pull that open.
Mhm.
And so something that you can find, I mean, just like this one, as I tipped it and it fell over, is that sometimes children won't take up the challenge to figure out which hole it gets into because they get impatient and they just want to then solve it by taking off the hard piece and putting everything just in it. And so having a shape sorter that kind of prevents you from opening it without really, I mean, I got pinched when I would try because it was really hard.
Yeah.
That just promotes a child from not being able to quickly end it and having to work through that challenge.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I was looking around because I actually have that, but I don't see it readily
That's an
available. So
old toy.
I would have to go and dig it, dig for it.
But it's so true, and it's the first thing that I thought of as well was shape sorters. There's, we have a turtle shape sorter, a ball shape sorter, square shape sorter, and the list goes on.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and like for us too, like I know that we have like those ring stacking toys, right? We have like a stem one that has all sorts of different textures. We have the classic one that's just the different colored rings that get smaller up. We have an IKEA one that's wooden. And they're all just a little bit different, but they all have the same objective, right? So it's all about putting something on the peg. Um, you it's nice, like I like the IKEA one because you don't have to put it in order like the simple plastic one that we're so used to seeing, that's like the classic that has the, like, I think it's what, blue, yellow, orange, red rings.
Yeah.
That one you have to put it in on order, so there it is.
I don't
Rachel's got it.
I'm missing some obviously, but
You know what, that happens. I think we're missing one right now too. It's in my couch, I'm pretty sure. Right. So like there are slight different things about all of these different types of stackers, but they all kind of accomplish the same thing. So if you're tight on space, if you're getting ready for a move and you're like, I don't know what to get rid of, you can categorize these types of toys into like put on, take off, stacking, order. Like, is it an order-based toy? Is it a shape sorter that's just a different type of shape sorter? You can kind of go through and put all of them into a pile that they all kind of do the same thing, and then decide which ones you like and which ones your kiddo likes, and figure out what to do with the rest that you have. Or if you have unlimited space, then just separate all of them up into different rotations so that you don't have 2 or 3 toys in the same rotation that all do the same thing.
exactly. You just took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to share that. Yeah. So if you do want to work on whatever it is, problem solving or whatever that tool is that you're looking for, if they are different, well, they're going to be completely new to your child.
Right.
So exactly, put them in the different weeks for your toy rotation, and that would really be helpful. Another outcome that we wanted to chat about is to understand when a toy is too advanced or too easy for your child to be intrinsically motivated by it. And the basis of that is just that for some toys, if it's too advanced, you can actually figure out ways to make it easier. Now, the thing about when a toy is too easy, such as I'm thinking like a rattle, a child that's older than an infant doesn't really, unless you're going to use it as a musical instrument or use it in some other way, just other than a shaker. I think that's one thing that I have met some families where that understanding of, oh, this is no longer relevant because my child is advanced beyond the toy. What about you guys? Do you feel that, are there any toys that are too advanced, or are we pretty much able to kind of simplify them? I guess unless they're dangerous, right? Like if they're small parts, obviously that would be too advanced for a really little one.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and I think it's interesting because our kids are growing and developing so quickly, so they grow out of toys so quickly, you know, and I think just keeping that in mind and always, you know, challenging them with what's coming next in terms of their development versus getting stuck in, oh well, let's just pull out these rattles because it's worked for the last 3 months, you know. So yeah, but always finding ways that you can grade an activity. Like if we're dressing a baby doll, for example, and it is just too hard to dress that baby doll, well, a caregiver or mom or dad can help, maybe putting, you know, scrunching up the outfit and just opening the hole that goes over the head and help, and then having the child experience success in that way, right? Where they can just put the top over, you know, and feel a sense of independence in that way, right? Not just, you know, trying to figure it out from scratch. Or if you're putting a pretend diaper on the baby doll, you know, maybe you need to open up the flap and say, okay, pull across, you know, things like that. There's always ways to grade and make activities easier. But I agree with you, Rachel, you know, like if it's a small parts that are unsafe or things like that, then of course we want to avoid that.
Yeah. And then I think that the only one that I can really think of that might be one that's introduced, I mean, the pop-up toy is sometimes really, really difficult. It grades itself, right? So it is really nice because you always have that hit button that is the easiest, where all they need to do is push. But maybe you introduce this to your baby too early and they don't have the strength in their hands or their arms that they need to be able to like hit that button. And then there can be some frustration with these other toggles. So you may need to show them, you may need to help them, or maybe hold back the toy for a week or two and then reintroduce it again and see if they're more successful the next time.
Awesome. How about, now this is a big one for you, Amber, the benefits of toy rotation. I'll let you take the.
I do love toy rotation. Yeah, I've read a lot on this recently because it's just kind of nice. You know, I'm in that stage of motherhood where I have a young toddler, and she's like into everything. And you can tell whenever she gets bored of toys because she goes from one toy to the next toy to the next toy and pulls them all out. And like the living room is a mess. I'm stressed because I'm like following her around, trying to encourage her to like clean up a toy and put it away when she's done with it. But like, it's a mess, right? So I really, really love to do a toy rotation because research shows, and if anybody's interested, I can definitely post research articles in the comments. You can, if you know me personally and you're watching this and you're wanting those articles, message me on Facebook. But if you are a viewer who doesn't know me personally, comment below and I'd love to get you the articles. I don't have them in front of me, so I can't like quote them word for word. Go ahead, Rachel.
Are they something that we can maybe put in our freebie?
Potentially I'd have to track them down.
Okay.
So yes, it definitely could be included in the freebie if somebody is interested in them. But ultimately, right, so like what most of the research on toy rotation is showing is that the more you rotate your toys, so it's about maybe once a week you rotate toys. Some sources have cited like 10 to 14 days if you don't have a lot of toys, but I've found personal success with like every 7 to 10 days. That it improves the quality of play with the toy and the child, and it also improves the amount of time the child spends with each toy. So you're going to get longer stints of play, you're going to get higher quality play because they're trying to take that time to figure out the toy. It's not the same toy they've played with for like 3 or 4 months, so they already know everything about it. It's not new, it's not fresh. That, you know, with a toy rotation, they're getting a new box of toys every 7 to 10 or whatever amount of days that you decide as a parent or a caregiver. And it's just like, it's just nice and new and fresh. It's kind of like redecorating the playroom, and everything is new. They get to explore. It's awesome. And then the other thing that I like to include whenever I talk about toy rotation is making sure, we've talked about like making sure that you are including different types of toys that have different functions, but I also like to talk about the number of toys in the environment. And this is something that I really struggle with because, as I've said, I love toys. So I could have like 12 to 24 toys all in the same environment and then be like, this is awesome. Like, look at all of these great toys, right? But there are some really compelling research studies that are showing that the optimal number of toys in an environment, so like in a room that a child is playing in, is actually somewhere between 4 and 6 toys. Which like, I mean, like kids get 4 to 6 toys at birthday and Christmas. And then like, you know, it just kind of like compiles. And if you're a thrifter like me, like you can come home with 4 to 6 toys in your thrift shop bag. So it's really important to be thoughtful whenever you're building your toy rotation of like, okay, am I choosing the right amount of toys that I'm not going to overstimulate the kiddo? I'm giving just enough options that they're going to get that long quality of play over a longer period of time. And now that, again, that's going to vary depending on the age of the child. But, you know, for moms, we're wanting kids to play with toys like as long as possible independently if they're able, so that we can then get some other things done. But we also, you know, like whenever I'm doing one-on-one time with my daughter, I don't like to jump from toy to toy to toy to toy. If I'm playing with her, I want to play with one toy for like 10 to 20 minutes because I don't have the energy to chase her around my living room and go from toy to toy to toy. So that's what I have to say on toy rotation. I'm a big advocate. I think that anybody who's really struggling with like, especially older kids, like, I'm bored, I don't want to, you know, mom, come play with me all the time. Like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to play with. Try a toy rotation and you might see a huge change in your child's playtime.
Yeah, and just to emphasize from a sensory perspective, you know, if you're really putting that 12 to 24 toys in one play area, it can become overwhelming and overstimulating for your child. So yeah, just to piggyback on that point, I think it's really important to limit the number of toys. And although 4 to 6, ooh, that's hard, right?
I know it is hard, especially whenever you have like a dozen really stellar toys. I mean,
Right?
there are some crummy toys out there, people, but there are also some like really awesome toys. So it's tough. And I have to tell you, like, I'm really bad about sticking with that. I do put about 5 toys in my, like, we call it baby jail, but it's just like a giant playpen. But like in her actual play environment in our living room, we have way more than 6 toys. I need to work on it.
Well, and from a communication point too, so it's the same thing, right? We really want to work with one toy for a while so that we're using the same language or similar language to describe what we're doing, the actions, the descriptions, as well as when you're too fleeting, like Amanda's saying, you know, it can impact your sensory processing where it's too much. And whenever we are dysregulated or if it's too much, communication is the first thing to fly out. So if a child can really dive in and play with something for a substantial amount of time, however long of time, amount of time that is, and you're playing with them, you're also then modeling the same words, and you're really able to get in the groove of playing. Whereas flitting to toy to toy to toy, it's really hard to get, that solid language piece for modeling. So, yeah. Isn't that cool how we all are like, this is why these things are so important from each of our angles. Okay, so another thing, I'm gonna skip down because I'm looking at the time and we've only got 36 minutes left. So one thing that I do think is really important, and Amber had shared a little post about this, is the recalls. And we did talk briefly about recalls and dupe toys and how if you don't buy the brand name of the toy, then if there's a recall, you'll never know. So the objective that we wanted to just chat about was for you as parents to quickly be able to look at a toy and decide whether it's safe or a choking hazard. And we did kind of briefly talk about that, but just in general. So, if a toy has, if either of you want to kind of field this as far as what you look at in a toy that you'll know, like, oh gosh, this is probably unsafe and here's why.
Yeah, I'm trying to look to see if I have an example, because I know that I think I'll use this one, because I know that visuals are always good, right? So like this is one of our evergreen toys that we're going to talk about, and this is indeed like the name brand of whatever toy this is. The name brand is Sassy, and it's a well-bought toy, but this is also a very highly duped toy. There are tons of these on the market, lots of different manufacturers. If you search spinner toy, like section spinner toys on Amazon, you're going to get all sorts of different recommendations. And some people, like, it'll have like thousands of authorized buys, and then there might be some that have like 5. So you just need to make sure that you're watching for things like that, because if you get a dupe, they're more likely to be put together with like maybe more chintzy material, and so like maybe these guys in the middle would break off, or if like the plastic would crack, there's like little beads on the inside that could be ingested and potentially an aspiration or a choking hazard. So whenever you're looking at toys and buying toys, especially like today, I know that, Temu is now really, really popular. So that's something that you have to be really critically thinking about as you're buying toys for your littles from sites like this, or like whenever I was younger, it was Wish that was like everybody was obsessed with, because they are dupes. They're not actually the brand name toy, so those dupes are not going to get recalled the way that the brand name toys do. And like whenever I'm opening a new toy, I just do like a quick inspection of it, and I play with it first myself. So I'll like take something like this and like really crank on it, right? Like I'm putting a lot of force into that, and it's not budging or breaking. I'll take my thumbs and like push on these little pieces here to make sure that they're good and solid in there, and make sure that I can't break it, because if I can't break it, it's not likely. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's not likely that my child is going to break it. And then if there's anything like that's like this that has small little pieces, I typically always invite people to like make sure that they're using these types of toys whenever the kiddo is supervised, instead of having this be like an independent play toy. I would like something like this to be more of an independent play toy, because it's big. There's nothing that's going to come off of this and be a choking hazard, as compared to like accidents happen, right? So there are small pieces that are attached to this. Something crazy could happen and something pops off. It gets ingested. It becomes a choking hazard. And we just don't want that. So those are the things that I do as a parent to make sure that my child is safe.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And just being, aware that batteries sometimes come, depending on the size, right? Very, very small batteries are potentially deadly or very harmful
Yeah.
if ingested. So just keep that in mind and make sure that we don't have, screws that are loose on battery compartments and things like that. Definitely choking hazards. And I think, to state the obvious, just look at the age recommendation on the product as well, because that at a minimum is going to help to give you some guidance. A lot of times people think like, oh, my 2-year-old can handle this 6+ toy, and yeah, if there's a little bit of an age gap, then you're probably okay. But if it's something that dramatic, then likely it's not going to be appropriate for your child, not only from a safety perspective, but just like we were talking about earlier, if the toy is too difficult, it's not going to engage your child.
Yeah, great points. Absolutely. Okay, so the last thing, and we did kind of talk about this the last time as well, and that's just looking for toys that are, or understanding the toys that are plastic and the ramifications of using non-biodegradable things, just as they can be more brittle. Also painted toys, understanding that paint is not something necessarily that is looked at for lead and other heavy metals, and that paint chips, or if a child is really mouthing a lot of things and it's a wooden toy that's painted, really understanding where your toys come from, and all the elements that are part of them, so that you're not inadvertently giving your child something that might be harming them. The other thing that and on that point, so I live within the state of Washington, and Washington State has made a program called the Toxic Free Future Coalition. The website, wow, it's really detailed, and there's a host of different articles that you can explore that are just on toys and picking safe toys for your child and for your family. Warning though is that it can get overwhelming, and you can get easily kind of like, oh my goodness. So make sure you're in the right space, right headspace to go through that, because it's kind of shocking the first time your eyes open to, whoa, just because I could buy it at the store doesn't necessarily mean it's safe for me. And then the last thing that I wanted to just share about toys, and this is a little bit off, is that nature can replace a lot of toys too. So just getting outside and playing in the dirt, playing with the trees, playing with, there's so many things that are naturally occurring as well that you can get the very similar experiences with to these toys. And the benefit of being in nature is, just immeasurable, right? So it also helps us to, because another thing that I'm finding is that just people don't like quiet and solitude and silence anymore. So the TV is always on for the background noise, or there's, Alexa's playing something in the background. And not to shame anybody, I'm not meaning that, but it's just that the more that is taking up for noise, the less communication that can occur too. And so by going outside and playing with toys outside, boy, you don't have competing sounds either. So your own voice will just soar, because there's no competition for it. So that's just a quick little aside. But is there anything else that you ladies think that we should make sure that everybody's understanding before we start doing our deep dives? I guess the last thing as I'm looking is just the benefits of toys with no batteries versus toys with batteries. We're not suggesting that all toys with batteries are bad. However, a toy, and I think Amber, you had mentioned this so beautifully last time, is that a toy that will turn on without being activated does your child a disservice, because it's not truly cause and effect. And if your child walks away from that toy to go explore something new, and then they hear this, come back to me, with the fun light, they're going to be, and they're going to be most likely motivated to go and interact with that toy again, rather than, oh, look, there's a bird outside, or, again, like that we were just chatting about. Oh, Amber, you are muted. Uh-oh. Is that something that I can help fix? No, you've got a little button on the bottom. with the microphone. You got a button on the bottom with the microphone. You might have to come back out then. Okay, so we're going to keep going then. So basically, it says that I muted you. I did not mute you. Oh boy. Technology, folks. All right, I think, are you going to come back? Okay, just you and I for a minute. So this is the beauty of a live, right?
That's right.
Woo, all the live stuff happening. Amanda, did you have anything that you wanted to share about toys with or without batteries beyond that?
I just think, being cognizant that a toy with batteries doesn't make it a better toy, or a toy that has all the lights and the sounds and the flashing, just know that, right? Our wooden shape sorter is just as great as the picnic shape sorter that, has the lights and the sounds and all of the things. So I think, like we talked about last time, it's good to have a little bit of both. But yeah, we certainly don't need all of those distractions in our world all the time, right?
Yeah, and something else that I think Amber had brought up last time that I hadn't even considered was just that I wonder how that prepares the growing brain, right? For kind of short term, like, oh wait, I want to be more connected to this toy that's making all the lights and sounds, rather than maybe my friend that's playing next to me, or something else going on. So interesting ponderings. Okay, so Miss Amber, are you back
I
and
think
talking?
so.
Woohoo!
She's back.
She's back. All right. So today we are chatting about toys 18 months plus. So one of the first, what do you have over there, Amber? What would you like to introduce first?
So I think the first thing that we have on our list for our 19 to 24 plus month olds, because these toys, it's a good time to introduce them, right? We're not saying that you need to cut them off at 24 months, because this one in particular can be used for years if your kiddo likes to cook. So we love kitchen sets for this age range. Like, you can do like the big kitchen set. You could do like, just if you don't have room or a budget for a big kitchen set, you could get creative and make them out of big cardboard boxes, or you could just have like the food cutting sets. I have boxes full of wooden foods. So like, this is a fun one from IKEA. It's like, the little cinnamon roll set, and like they can roll the cinnamon rolls.
I just saw that this weekend and thought of you. I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if you've seen that. That's so cute.
I have. It's a fun one, and like, it's a nice thing. Like, Rachel, you would really like this one because it's cloth. So it's not plastic, it's not like wood painted, whereas like the rest of them that I have, like, they are wood painted. But they're really fun, like these eggs come apart, you put them together, they've got like little play knives, and the kiddo can practice pretend cutting. There's just, the options are limitless for play kitchens.
Well, and real fast, while you have those play cutting ones out, so the other benefit of those is it's also another problem solving, because when the child goes ahead and cuts them all off, you can make a fruit salad, if you will, put them all in a bowl. And then a child has to, figure out and find the other piece of the banana to put together. Awesome. And then put the banana the right way, right? Because it could be the wrong way. Yeah. Well, I guess that could still be a banana. But some of the fruit just won't fit unless it's a certain way.
Right. Like an avocado.
And of course, from the fine motor and, independence and ADL perspective, using that knife to learn, how to apply the pressure and press down and cut in half. And just eventually that's going to lead to independence and meal prep, of course, way down the road. But
yeah. Yeah, and Amanda, you used one of our like favorite therapy abbreviations. So for those of you who didn't catch that, she said
Yes.
ADL. And if you don't know what ADL means, it's activities of daily living. So
Got
it's
it.
those are things that you're going to be doing like every single day, right? So like brushing your teeth, food prep, meal prep, um, getting up and down off of like the toilet, or like, wiping after you use the toilet. So all of those things qualify as ADLs, or activities of daily living.
And just to say too, from a communication standpoint, so whenever you're going through these things, not only can you talk about the object, right? Oh, I have an egg here, but ooh, we're gonna cut the egg. Ooh, ready, cut. Ooh, did you hear that? It's cut, and now we've got 2 pieces. And just to talk about it, another thing that I would do too is that I would kind of hoard them all in my lap. I'm a big lap hoarder, so that when a child was really interested and excited to interact with it, they would have to indicate that they wanted more of something, or they could pick which one they wanted. I would sometimes give them a forced choice. Do you want the banana or the egg? They could reach for it, and I could just talk to them about it. So it also depends on how interested the child is. So that's where that toy rotation comes in handy, because if these toys are just hanging out for weeks on end, they're not that interested in it anymore, because it's become part of their everyday. And so they might not interact with it in a way that they would if you were to take it away and then bring it back as, ooh, remember this, and have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely. And then on the gross motor side of things, it's a kitchen set. Like if you have the kitchen with the fridge and the cabinets, like the high cabinets and the low cabinets, again, you can work on things like squatting, reaching high, squatting low, standing at that surface for longer periods of time is great. If you've got a kiddo that really struggles with balance, you could put like a pillow on the ground in front of the kitchen and have them stand on the pillow, so it challenges them just a little bit more. If you don't have a pillow, you can use like rolled up blankets or big pieces of foam. Like you can get, if you've got a nugget, like that's a really great piece of equipment or like toy to like put in front of the kitchen. Then you can do like tall kneeling, because the nugget, if you don't know what a nugget is, it's like a play couch. They're kind of, the pieces are kind of thick, so maybe you're raising it so that they can play in tall kneeling. There are lots of different ways that you can kind of move around and change a kitchen environment so that you're challenging your kiddo to be in like different types of play positions from a gross motor stance.
Yeah, and when
Yeah.
we're talking about those big play kitchen sets, I mean, obviously it's endless, right? The things that you can do with it. But we talked about those activities of daily living. Thank you for explaining that acronym. But things like going to the sink and practicing, without water and making a big mess. Let's wash our hands. And what does that look like? I always like to include a little like washcloth, so we can practice even wiping down the table or the counter. It's great to work on safety as well. Ooh, that oven is hot. Let's put on the oven mitt. Different things like that, where you can, just be teaching all of these life skills truly in a very safe, play-based way. Really getting children interested in cooking, or baking or making, let's make a smoothie. So we're going to cut that banana in half and put some of the banana in, cut the strawberry in half. What else should we put in our smoothie? Oh, yogurt. There's all kinds of things you can do there, just to promote an interest in cooking. If you have little measuring cups, or you could even pull yours out of the kitchen and practice, oh, we have to, of course, pretend we're going to pour the sugar, and, just practicing those skills. Really good, again, for, teaching the fine motor skills there as well. And then just keep in mind, I mentioned the measuring cups, but if you don't have all of those things, you can't afford to maybe buy every little, play set. Don't hesitate to use the containers that come from your kitchen. Old Spice jars, right? That's fantastic. When those are empty, use those. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of what we have in our play kitchen, like a frosting container. We've got like the
Well,
fried onion container, like things like
yeah.
that, where they're actually, we use the food, out of the container. You can wash them and put them in the play kitchen as well.
Yeah. And for, if you've got a toy kitchen, you probably have kids. So you probably have kids' cups and kids' plates and kids' silverware. And so we actually have like a cabinet in our kitchen where we keep all of her utensils and plates and cups and whatnot for meal times. And so we tell her, she's about 19 months now. And so we tell her at meal times, like, hey, go pick a plate, go get a bib, and go get a fork. And she has access to those things, so she knows where to go to get them. So if you don't have like the play set stuff, use the actual stuff that you use for mealtime.
And I've actually seen some really beautiful cardboard boxes that people just
Yes.
drawn on
Yeah.
to make, a 4-burner stove
Yes.
or a refrigerator with a handle, and then you just cut out the piece and you can open it and close it. So people are just so creative. So if you don't have the space, or you don't want to spend on it, or whatever the reason is, I mean, there's definitely ways to be really creative and still instill that sense of play and pretend and routine too, because your child is watching you, and you are definitely, or usually, in the kitchen 3+ times a day, creating meals for you and your family. So yeah, it's a great all-around play toy. And again, just for communication's sake too, you can talk about the things that you're doing, and like that little toy that you had, Amber, that was the cinnamon rolls. Make your own cinnamon rolls,
Yeah.
or just go to the store and get the other ones, the
The popper ones.
the popping ones. Yeah, you still got to roll them, right? So, I mean, it's the same.
Yeah.
Your child's just learning the same thing. So
Awesome.
that's awesome.
That's great.
Okay.
All right, let's move on along, because we're running short on time, ladies. I'm afraid we're not gonna get through them.
I love to talk about toys.
Moving on, another great thing that you can introduce at this age range, boy or girl, is like a type of doll. So whether it's a baby doll, like a little girl doll like this, if you've got action figures like Rachel is showing you, it's a really, a teddy bear or a stuffy. Yeah, if your kid is more into animals, this is an awesome time to start introducing and definitely modeling pretend play if they haven't already started pretend play themselves.
And again, the benefit of the dolls is that oftentimes a child identifies with that doll because they start to treat that doll as you treat them. So the doll, whether it's Spidey or the doll that Amber's holding, or even little Teddy, okay, it's time to sing, you sing a goodnight song to your child every night. It's time to sing it to Spidey. So now or your toddler is playing with Spidey and doing the same rockabye baby, or it's time for Spidey to eat, and feeding Spidey and wiping off his face. Again, routines I love because there's just so much learning involved, and it's intrinsic, right? Because a child's going through these things every day, multiple times a day for a lot of them. I don't know about changing Spidey's diaper, but maybe you could make something where that would work. He's a little tiny, but maybe. But these are things that, your child is going through all day long. So it's familiar to them, and it's just such a natural carryover to something that they'll be interested in, most likely. And also for communication's sake, because you're using the same words, most likely. Time to get changed, time to eat, bath time, these same verbal routines, if you will. And then so your child can start using those with the dolls that they're playing with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love reimagining those routines, right? I think that's phenomenal. And the other thing, to think about with dolls is don't forget to include them in your child's routines as well, especially when there's difficult times or difficult things. Maybe you have a child that really doesn't like brushing their teeth. Well, let's bring in baby doll or Spidey or teddy bear. Yeah, and really get them involved in that. Okay, Now it's time. We're going to brush Spidey's teeth. Now mommy's going to brush her teeth. Now, child is going to brush her teeth. And that really is a wonderful way to avoid, the conflict, the fight, the battle over brushing the teeth, and make it fun and involve baby doll, right? So yeah, I just think working through all of those routines is great. Now it's time to eat. Now it's time to feed the baby. And really from like a social emotional perspective too, you're teaching, you can work on sharing. Oh, let's share. Let's give baby a cookie, or let's, let baby take a turn. And you can kind of work on, some of those social play skills as well. I know we have a lot to talk about, so I'm trying to keep it quick.
That was perfect. And I know I just want, to encourage people too, and to keep in mind as well, that like, it doesn't have to be a doll, right? Like my daughter, her grandparents got her this, and I apologize all the time. She hates this thing. She like, if I try to put it and get her to play with it in her shopping cart, because she like, we go shopping, she sits in the cart with me. So then she puts her dolls, her stuffies in the cart and pushes them around, and I try to put this thing in the cart and she tears it out of there and throws it on the ground every time and replaces it with Bluey. So, if the doll isn't the thing right now, that's okay. Use Bluey, use Spidey, use Stuffy, like whatever is going to work in that time. And if you're like really, really set on like, I really need you to love this toy, then just try to continue to reintroduce it in fun ways. Like Amanda said, include it in routines, and hopefully they'll take to it. Sometimes they won't, because they're individuals and they make up their own minds. So just try to give them some flexibility to choose, like, hey, I actually don't really like this thing, I like this thing more. Allow them to have some choice and some autonomy in that if you can.
Yeah, good points. And last thing to just say is, the last thing about dolls as well is that feelings, right? We can talk about the feelings that somebody's feeling. So if a child is like Amanda was saying, not liking brushing teeth, oh, is it uncomfortable? Are you feeling, how you can use whatever words you'd like to, but you can also put them on Spidey, right? Oh, Spidey's feeling a little cautious or a little apprehensive, or I'm trying to not use the word scared, because I think that can also, just a child hears that word and that's the emotion they become. So that's another thing to consider. But go ahead and talk about how brave Spidey's being instead. Instead of focusing on the things that you're noticing, focus on what you want to see. It's kind of like when you're learning to ski, and whatever, if you look towards the trees, that's the direction you're going to go. So we want to look towards where we want to go. And in Spidey's case with brushing his teeth, oh, how brave you are. Look at you. You let that toothbrush touch your mouth. Wow, way to go, Spidey. So that's just a kind of little aside to put in there.
Yeah. Great way to tell a social story, right? With that favorite doll or toy, in that way. And, talking about, Spidey is frustrated. Well, what could Spidey do? Well, maybe he needs to take a big breath. Our sensory kiddos, maybe Spidey needs a big bear hug. Spidey can walk away, tell a grown-up, there's just, it's great to provide that social story and give them examples of things that they can do when they're later frustrated.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. What you got
Good stuff
there, Amber?
I was thinking we move on to our evergreen toys. We have some really good toys in the evergreens, and I would rather, me personally, I would rather go over the evergreens and
let's do it. We got 8 minutes.
I know, and
rapid
then let
fire.
our viewers, we can let our viewers learn about all of the other toys that we are recommending for these age groups by downloading our freebie.
Cool.
That will be posted within like the next 24-ish hours, so watch for that link. But yeah, so this is my very all-time favorite toy. I love these toys. Squigs. These guys are suction cup toys. I get these for like anybody who has a first birthday. It's always a first birthday gift, but they can be like we had teenagers come and stay at our home a couple of months ago, and like they loved these things. They loved throwing them against like the patio window. So like these things really outlast the test of time, because you can throw them right at the window and they'll stick. They're awesome for like gross motor, for fine motor. You can do all sorts of communication stuff. So like the limit, there really is no limit with these guys. You can use them outside, inside, bath time, not bath time. They can be like a travel toy if you keep them in your diaper bag. They can be a plane toy. I can't say enough about these guys. Do either of you want to add anything?
I know we have a lot to talk about, but travel, I was just going to, echo that. They're great to travel with, and really good for, bilateral hand coordination,
Yeah.
visual motor coordination, a little bit of strengthening involved, right? Yeah, great toy.
Talk about
It is there.
the popping, talk about what colors you're putting on, talk about what shape you're making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're a little bit pricey. I will say that. This is like one of my only toys, and I'm like, it's worth the cost. So definitely check these out. You can learn more about how to play with these on our Instagram, through our reels. I love these. So like there's lots of reels on how to play with these guys.
Even sorting, you can sort by color and stuff too when you're putting them on.
Yeah. I like to do like for gross motor, what are they called? I like to set them up on like walls or windows and put pieces of multi-piece toys hanging on them, and then put the base of the multi-piece toy far away, and then you can go back and forth and do like obstacle courses. They're really fun. The limit does not exist.
So I'm going to bring up this evergreen, our handy little shape sorter, which we talked about in the beginning. So one of the things that I think a lot of families get frustrated by, maybe, or just forget about, is that this is a toy that is a complicated toy that can be made more simple. So like we chatted about in the beginning, the toys can just easily be put in, which is the easiest way to start by just putting a toy in and taking them out. Thank you, Barbara, for the wonderful session today. That's my mom.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. And then the other thing that we can do, this is how I like to, I call it scaffolding toys, is as you have the shape, and I think, Amanda, you had chatted about this too, just holding the shape to where it goes and just kind of holding it there and really celebrating this fun sound of it going in, and then continuing to do that. Now, what I do after a child is kind of like, ooh, I want to do that again. I cover all of the other pieces so that I'm really directing that child to just going to that one spot, and then, trying to turn it on their own before they get it in. Now, one thing to mention as well is I always actually like to start with the easiest shape, which on this one, it doesn't have, but the easiest shape is a circle. And so the reason I love the circle is that it doesn't matter how you're coming at it, as long as you're not coming at it diagonally. If you're coming at it straight on, it's going to be the easiest one to put in. And so when a child, though, gets even just that sound, that satisfaction, if you will, of putting that in, it just makes them even more excited to be able to, or to want. It's that intrinsic motivation that we were chatting about earlier, wanting to explore that toy even further. And then so once a child gets it on the one, then you can even, again, offer it for a visual field of 2, and then the 3, and then, if they're really into it, let them have it, let them go for it. Anything for you guys to chat about for that one?
I think you nailed it,
Yeah, that was great. And yeah, it's a multi-piece toy, so put all the pieces far apart for gross motor. That's all.
There we go. I love that, Amber. Yeah. Okay.
Our next one, farm sets. We can talk about that. I didn't bring my farm up, but here's all of my little people animals, or not all of them, but some of them. So Rachel, you love farm sets, so I'll let you talk about.
I love farm sets. Here's the reason, and it's been contested, but I think my points prevailed, is that it's the only category of animals the entire category where we can name them by 3 things. So they have a name, cow. They have a sound, moo. They have a sign for cow. And so when we talk about learning, and this is again getting it back into nature, why nature is such an important place as well to learn from, is that it's multimodal, meaning that the more senses that are engaged, the better the learning environment for all of us, for all human beings. And maybe beyond. So when we are engaging in a farm toy for their name and adding the sign and adding the sound, it's just, you know, it's engaging more things. The other thing about farm toys that I absolutely love is that they're everywhere. So they're books, they're songs, they're the little manipulatives that you just had. They're in every place, and you don't have to travel too far, and depending on where you're living, to find the actual cow that your child, you know, I would take the toy or the book or whatever so that your child can connect. Oh, that's what that's meaning. Cool. And make it again that more multimodal, relevant toy for them.
Yeah. I love that. That's great. And then, yeah, the only other thing that I have to say is just if you're choosing like a farm toy, just make sure you're being picky and choosy about the type of barn that you're choosing. Because again, we live in the day and age where everything is electronic, and you want to make sure that you're choosing a good electronic barn that doesn't go off on its own. It doesn't have a programmable switch on the inside that once the child leaves the toy, it goes off like 30 to 60 seconds later to draw the kiddo back. There are some really good toys out there and barn toys out there on Amazon that don't have any batteries at all. But if you're wanting something that plays songs or makes noise, I totally understand, because it's really fun for them to like put the sheep where the sheep goes and then hear bah. So just be cognizant about the type of toy you're choosing whenever you're looking at those barns.
You guys nailed it.
All right.
We've got 1 minute left. So do we want to
Okay.
do one more?
I mean, we can talk about what did I do with it?
A sassy Wonder Wheel.
The spinner. Yeah, that. The people will see this and they will think like, oh, this is a baby toy. It kind of is, but listen, there are ways to span this a couple of years if you'd like to. So this is another really good travel one. We take this on with us on planes. It's really fun because it makes a little bit of sound, but it's not so loud that it's going to drive the people around you on the plane crazy. There's lots of different things to do. So there's like, you can spin the little ones, you can spin the big one, you can play with these guys. Like Rachel always says, talk about everything about the toy. So like go, stop. On a sensory side, like these knobs are really fun to like work on going and stopping with and like feeling how that feels with the resistance. But with this guy, if you've, to kind of bring it into the 1 to 2 year old range, I really like to, again, with the single leg balance stuff, like we talked about with Piggy last time, I like to put this on a window, a fridge, somewhere, wherever it'll stick pretty low, because then the kiddo can work on single leg balance by using their foot to make this spin. So that's something that can go into 2-3 years. That's really fun. It's a good one that you can like put into an obstacle course. It's like a simple little thing to put into an obstacle course. So this guy, if you've got this one and you're like, okay, I've got a 1-year-old, don't donate it or sell it at a yard sale or gift it away just yet, especially if your kid really, really likes it, because there are ways to get creative with this toy.
Love it. All right. Well, we're out of time. We have so many more things that we could show you or do with you, but and I just wanted to show this one because talking about how toys change over the years. So everybody knows a Mr. Potato Head. Check out this little Mr. Potato Head. Is that not dated or what?
Right.
Who gives a child a pipe? Ah!
Wow.
That's funny.
Yeah, times are changing. All right, so thank you so much for joining all of us today here at NewDay Child Coaching. We hope that today was really helpful and useful for you to kind of understand kind of the broader reasonings as to why we look at toys or how we look at toys, and really why some of them are our absolute favorites. this will be posted on our Facebook page. We're also going to be cross-posting this on our YouTube page. If you're seeing this on YouTube, please hit like and subscribe, whichever way that goes, below. And comment too. Like, this is interactive. Please join us with your comments. If you'd like what we're saying and doing, we are offering a coaching course for live deep dive discussions that we'll be doing twice a month for our private community. And you can find us there at www.newdaychildcoaching.com. And for the next 2 days, we've got a 30% off coupon. So come join us soon so you can take advantage of that. And does anybody else have anything that they'd like to share?
I don't think so. You wrapped it up nicely, Rachel.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, today was super fun. So I had a blast. This hour just flew by.
Yeah.
Flew by. All right, friends. Well,
We got it. Yep.
From all of us here at NewDay, have a good day.
I still have to learn.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.